Hi guys, this is Patches of Greenery where we discuss about our lives as overseas nurses in the UK, where it all began. And COVID is one of the stories that it's very dear to our hearts. Yvonne, take us through COVID. How? Yeah,
COVID 19. Let's see, where was I? Where was I? It's now January 2020. You're hearing or seeing videos, so just know how reels are. You see a video of some illness in China and it feels very, very distant. Like, this is it's not us. Like, we'll get over this.
Yeah.
Then January, February, March 2020. I think at that point, maybe there was one person, or I think a couple of cases were now recorded in the UK. And because it was so new, I think nobody was really aware of what to expect at the time. So we don't know when to wear masks or how we have to, like, how many masks you need to change and stuff like that. At the time, I was working in a hospital and in a care home as well. So yeah, we continue life as normal. And then next, all of a sudden, you get to work and they go, oh, no, we don't wear masks. Then next is midway into the shift, you get a message like, oh no, somebody said you need to put your masks on or whatever. So I'm like, but why? Anyway, you get into the mask. So yeah, next is a lot of PPE. That's personal protective equipment. So you got your mask, you make sure you got your gloves on, change in between residents or whatever. So now it's March 31st. I remember well because I lost my sense of smell that day and I still haven't got it back. So 31st March 2020, I had a shower. And at that point, it's not really clicking in my brain that I can't smell the soap. But I continue, go to work. I get strangest headache I've ever had with like a very sore throat. And I spoke to someone about it. It's like, oh, I got a really sore throat and a headache. And I go, oh, it's just a cold. Have some tea. You know, tea sorts out everything in this country. Have a tea. So I'm like, no, and I'm not really thinking in my brain that this is COVID, right? And at that time, there's no testing because this is like the first. So I like to call myself patient X. This is like the beginning of everything. So then on the news, they're saying things like, oh, if you have a temperature, or if you feel body pains, there was 3 things: fever, body pains, or whatever. Stay away for 7 days. So anyway, shift ends. I go home. It was a day off. I wake up and I feel pain. Like everything hurt. My eyebrows, my toes, everything was really painful. So I called the doctor and I was like, listen, I've had, I think I have a fever. I didn't have a thermometer in the house, but I feel really hot to touch. My body hurts. And she said, you need to stay away from everyone and everything for 7 days. And then after 7 days, if you're not feeling better, call us again. So I'm like, I have to lock myself inside. And yeah, so that was me locked in the house now. It was horrible, I won't lie. I felt this is my time. And when I'm laying in bed, thoughts that would be coming in my brain is like, oh, should they send me back home as ashes or as a whole body? I thought it was that painful. It was just thoughts of death coming, and you're hearing things like it affects Black and ethnic minority groups more. Like their symptoms are more severe. It was just like, this is bye bye.
That is it.
I was calling my family and talking to them on video calls without even telling them that I might have COVID. I didn't tell them because everyone just thought COVID was a death sentence at the time. So I'm talking to my mom and I'm just dragging myself. Yes, mom. Yes. But yeah, I was hiding it and I called work. I told them and they were like, are you sure? Because there was no test. I was never tested, but I knew that this was not a cold. It was not just anything I've ever had before. Got to day 6 and I'm due to go back to work in 2 days. So I was like, I don't feel right. So I still called the doctor and I explained it. She said, no, Yvonne, you do have COVID as much as you've not had a test. That's definitely COVID. So you stay home for another 7 days. So yeah, I stayed home for 7 days. I was so breathless. I had a little pulse oximeter. I'd wake up. Well, I was scared to sleep because I thought if I sleep, I'll probably wake up dead. That's how bad it was. I checked my oxygen levels and it would be at 86, 87.
Jeez.
And they've said, oh, going to hospital makes it worse or whatever. So it's like, they won't do anything for me. I'd sit by the window and breathe, try and gasp all this oxygen. It was weird. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I just saw death.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And just hearing you saying that, because I was back in Kenya at that point, and Europe was the worst hit.
Yeah.
So I think you saying that, and I'm like, you're just connecting that, like,
and I'm there feeling all this pain, and I'm thinking, even if I do not like you, I don't think anybody deserves to feel how I'm feeling right now. Like, you don't wish it on anybody.
Yeah.
At that point, it was just so painful. And then I'm thinking, God, I'm in this country where there's all these facilities and stuff to help people. What's going to happen when this hits my home country?
Yeah.
Like, when this is in Zambia, I just thought, I was scared that there was fear.
And just taking from what you're saying, because me, I was back at home.
Yeah.
And at that point, we didn't have as much cases. I think it was still new and all that.
Yeah.
We could see all these numbers in Europe, this and this is happening. And we're like, thank God it's not happening to us, because we can't manage this. Because COVID was like, it just took all the hospital, the resources and everything down from the workers and everything. So I think hearing you saying that, and just can remember what you were saying back at home.
Yeah, and this is March 2020 now. Everything is shut down. You're lining up to get rice, and somebody at the till is telling you can't get more than 2 packets of rice or 2 packs of spaghetti, or you're queuing up to actually get into a supermarket. You go in, there's no toilet roll.
Yeah.
The day I walked out of Lidl with a big, I think it's a 24-pack of toilet roll, I felt like a star. I told you, like, look at me.
It was all about the toilet roll.
Look at me.
Yeah,
people did
sanitizers.
panic buy.
Yeah.
It was, I guess people felt that was survival. You had to survive somehow.
Yeah.
So anyway, me in my 14 days of being ill, it was really painful. I was constantly breathless. And I had to get back to work in 2 weeks. I did ring up work, and they said, we'll take you. Just you come in slowly or whatever. But it's not like that. In a care home, once you're at work, you're at work. So had to manage that. And at that point, everyone's locked down. We did have COVID cases, but thankfully, God must have looked at the home. There was no death. No.
Wow.
And it was just sad and by the time I got back to work, they now had tests. So I was like, should I test? I was like, but there's no point. If you've had it, you had it. Just carry on. So at the time, you test somebody, and ringing their family to tell them that they now have COVID and they were elderly, it just felt like you're calling them to say,
it's a death sentence.
This is it. And you'd be crying on the phone with people's families. But thankfully, nobody ever died. So it'd be like, we made it. Yeah. Where were you at the time?
I was in Surrey, nursing home. Like I said earlier, came to the UK in January. So lockdown was March.
Oh yeah, so you're pretty new. Yeah.
So pretty new, Came by myself in the UK. And like, I don't really recall hearing much about COVID in Barbados. I was hearing more about Brexit. That was a big topic, Brexit. And then suddenly I'm here, and suddenly there's mask wearing. You hear they come over, at that time it was Boris Johnson, place on the lockdown. The Queen is having her messages, and I'm like, wow, this is serious now.
What have I walked into?
And PPEs being ordered by the boxes just keep coming in, and every single day there was some briefing that the manager, she was always on a call about it. Because you were getting things from the clinical director, new information every single day. There's something new. The symptoms keep changing for some reason or the other. And you didn't know what was right or wrong within that first period, and like, so 2020, the home, I don't think anyone actually had COVID within the home. there was one one staff that had kind of symptoms, and then the flat that he was in was isolated. And I got in trouble for going to the flat because we were like, nah, he doesn't have any COVID, man. That's probably a flu or something. It turned out that he didn't have COVID in the end, but my manager came the same day that I went. My manager came to drop off groceries. And I was like,
we're busted.
And there was nowhere to hide. Because as soon as they opened the door, I was right there. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Stay still.
Yeah. Thought about hiding under the cover or something, but it didn't make sense. So I got a letter because of that. Breaking the rules.
Not to you.
She was disappointed. She was disappointed in me. I felt disappointed in myself.
It's just the lonely thing, like you just staying by yourself.
I was lonely. We're meant by myself.
We're meant for communities and interactions, but
So 2020, no COVID within the home, and then the beginning of 2021. Almost everyone had. And because it was shared accommodation among staff, so it was easily spread among the staff. So spread among the staff, and then the residents started to get it. So by the time the residents got it, we were short on the floor. So there were a lot of staff doing 24-hour shifts just to keep the home going. Then the residents started to come down. We had 1, 2, 3. And so we had to put a wing for those who were upstairs and got COVID. We had to bring them downstairs onto the wing, and then we started using the disposable plates and all of that, and we had them outside the room. So one person was blocked off so that person would stay in that section, and so that the bit was crazy. And it was very emotional as well. And then I ended up getting COVID. Everyone inside the flat that I was in had COVID. And my room was upstairs. I remember I was at work the daytime, and I started to feel really fatigued and tired. My eyes were hurting. And I'm telling my manager, I don't feel right, And she was telling me, no, it's just a flu as well.
Yeah, it's just a cold.
I said, no, this is not. And when I got home in the night, it just got worse. And I remember crying in pain. And then I was lonely. And at that point in time, you want your mother. You always want your mother. You always want your mother. Mommy always knows best. Mommy's going to take care of you,
She'll give you some soap.
She'll give you something.
Just drink.
Or some bush tea or something.
Even just to bring you painkillers.
Yeah, but I was there all alone in pain, high temperature. And I remember, I felt like it was a demon in there. I was like,
it felt like a spiritual attack. This is and
I said, get behind me, say, I said, this is a demon.
Yes.
I said, this is I'm so serious.
And the dreams you have at the time, if you fall asleep and the dreams you would have, it's just like morbid dreams. Like, this is it, I'm done.
Dark,
very dark stuff.
Jeez, it was.
I was like, is this an illness or is this somebody? What is this?
Yes, I do
my
not
village
wish this
people.
on anyone. I do not wish this on anyone. And then you start seeing the numbers in Italy. 300, 600. I'm like, in a day.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the people, they're going down the street with all the bodies and stuff. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and you see all those people dying and you have it and you're thinking, but what is special about me to think that I will survive this?
To this day.
Exactly.
Like, to this day, I always say, I'm so thankful and grateful to God because look how many other persons died from
like, what was special?
And then with all their PPEs, they were like fully masked and gowned and everything. And sometimes all you just had was a mask and, gloves and the apron, the PPEs, the simple ones.
Yeah. And I remember ginger is good for everything. So we drank loads of ginger tea, soups. The manager, they were bringing food for us and stuff. And then you had to get back to work, work continues. Get back into it.
Yeah.
And when I got back into work, I heard this person had passed, and it was so sad seeing some of my residents going through that. You know. Yeah. And then the relatives, they can't
come in. No, you're calling them to say your family member is ill.
Yeah,
but stay outside. That's it.
Because even in the news, when you see they're finding what is it called, a tribunal or something, when they're talking about what happened, the COVID and all that, and no one knew anything because this was a new thing for everyone. There was no research, so everyone probably knew with the information they had. Because even like the government, the hospital, as in the government, they didn't know, the health secretary, the health people, they just didn't know what to do, because it was more research being done. Scientists are doing their thing. Oh, let's do this. Oh, we are doing this. Oh, let's wash hands. So it was just difficult, especially for us who were working, because we were like, we need to work. We need to take care of these people.
Sorry, you just mentioned about washing hands. I think with this thing, if you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much how many times you wash your hands.
Sit in the sink and wash yourself.
Because that's the thing that I'm saying, like the way people had the full protective and they still died. And yet you just had your mask and just God protected you in a time and a frame, and then
How was it for you?
For me, I was still back in Kenya that time, because I remember it was said, oh, there's this, because that's why it's called COVID-19 in December 2019. Like it was in China. And then we were like, oh, it's in China,
it's not for us.
All that. And then I think when we came to 2020, and then that's when things started happening and all that. I remember in the first episode when I was just sharing about my journey, I said the time COVID happened and everything. So I think the Minister of Health at that point was just coming to say what's happening. So I think we had probably at 3 p.m., the Minister of Health would come and be like, statistics, what's happening and all that. But at that point, we didn't have like a case back in Kenya. And then we had our first case. And everyone was like, oh my God, we're dying. This is real. This is happening and all that. And then, so I think every day at 3 p.m., the Minister of Health will come and say, this is happening. The CS of Health, someone who came and said this is happening. The cases that we're having, the people are in quarantine, it's managed and all that. But Kenya is a country of many rumors. People use internet a lot. So there are a lot of rumors going in. So you're on your phone and you're like, see people dropping. Like, we're like, oh my God, it's happening. It's been found in this place.
And it's next door.
Yeah. So people just bring some videos, like some random videos, and they send people. So there was so much misinformation and all that happening. People are scared. People don't know what to expect. And then the cases just started keep on rising and all that. They were, I think from the airport when they came, they were going to a quarantine, a safe place to be. But I think because still the airports were running at that point. So now the cases continued rising and all that. And then now we had to make adjustments. Only the essential workers were the ones who were working. And then schools were closed and all that. Churches were closed. And so they just kept on doing that, giving us the information, what's happening and all that. I was working as a nurse in a theater. So we had to divide our groups into two. So one worked this week, the other one worked the other week. And then we couldn't meet. So that was so isolating. Like, you have your team, your people that you like working with, you love to work as a team and all that. But then there are people you won't even see. So there was that part of isolation. And then there's a way you work best with other people, or there's just the way that you connect as a team. But then there's just a point that you cannot work together. You cannot do all these things together. You cannot go out. I remember because I had moved from home at that point. Then I don't want to go home because I'm like, I may go and give my people, my family, COVID and all that. And then it happened, one of the group, because we were two groups, so one of the group got COVID. So we had to stay home for 2 weeks. I think one thing about COVID, it made people know themselves. Because we are used to, I think we're created for community.
We're
to be around people. So now it's like, you cannot socialize the way you want. Everything is dictated, and you love your people. You don't want to give them whatever you'll be giving them, So I think that was the point where, like, you stayed with yourself. You stayed, you had to know you to love you. And I think there's some people who haven't even moved from that point. People it was just crazy for that year. Even like marriages, you could see things broke and, because people had to stay with themselves. There's no distraction, because there's a point like, oh, you go do your thing and then let's meet in the evening. We are meeting on Friday, we're meeting on Saturday. But now there's not that point. So that was it. I thank God back in Kenya I didn't get COVID. We didn't have a lot of testing and all that. Probably there was, but there was no testing. There was no need. I think we had, because when I remember when at work, when the other group got COVID, then I think we were tested and all that, we were negative, so we go back to work. And after a while, I think there was the lockdown in a way that by 6 p.m., everyone should be in the house.
Okay.
So that was another thing that really happened. So you could see people hurrying to be in the houses, and then the police now were taking advantage of that. Let me just not go there. But it was just not a good time, to be honest, especially that, how did we call it? Curfew. We call it curfew. Yeah, it's called curfew. So by 6 p.m., no one should be out. Yeah. Or was it 6 or 7 around there? Everyone has to be in the house. So you are all rushing, Everyone is just, then the police were even like, beating people, like if you're out and all that. So they used force and all that. So it's really a sore subject, to be honest, especially if you know someone who you know. And sometimes it's not that you want to stay late at that time, but just things happen, you know. Because I remember one time I was going home, and it was all about the curfew time was about. So the public transport, the van, I don't know how to call it in English, but yeah, a van that we were. So it was trying to move away from traffic and use all these other routes and all these things. And then I'm looking at the time, it's almost 8 o'clock, and you're like, this is the curfew time.
I need to get in.
And then it used another alternative route. So I had, oh my God, that day was crazy. Now I have to walk, because even now, like, you can't get a motorbike because people have gone home. And then you are seeing police all over, you're walking, and you're like, I just say I'm a nurse. Like, I'm a nurse. I've just come from work. And
flash your ID.
Yeah, we got away with a lot.
I know. We just say, I'm a nurse, please. I would have been in my house all that time, but you know. And there's no people. Like, you know, when you watch like these movies like Walking Dead, when there are no people, there's no people. It's an empty, it's a ghost town. So that was how it was. I remember that day I was like, oh, just let me get home safely. Let me go home safely. Then I saw this police walking, and then he was just like, hello, please get home in a hurry. Like, go home quick, go home. I was like, yeah,
I'm going.
Yeah, so that was it. So yeah, it's just a lot. And then coming back to coming to the UK again, I talked earlier about quarantine. And when everything, I think it was still in lockdown, when everything was opened up, and then went back to work, just the masks and everything, just getting to that new kind of life and setting. Because now the way I started practicing nursing in the UK was from that point of lockdown and people wearing masks and all that.
How did you guys feel about the attention that was not being given to care homes? I feel like care homes were not receiving as much attention. Everything was, save the NHS, but we too, I feel we were looking after people who were very vulnerable as well, and I felt like they just didn't give it as much attention as they should. Thursdays, remember clapping for the NHS?
Yeah.
So it felt like those were the only seen healthcare workers. Yeah. But we were healthcare workers too at the time.
Yeah. For me, I didn't really think about that bit. You know? No. It's only now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah.
It clicks that, they were just saying clap for the NHS and whatever, but I saw it as a clap for nursing.
Yeah. In the end, it was just
a clap for.
I think we all kind of put ourselves in, like, okay, even if they say the NHS, but then I still have that feeling of you could have seen healthcare workers a bit more in the private sector as well.
Yeah. I think for me, because I came during the COVID time, so how I came, I thought that's for how nursing is practiced in the UK, because I didn't have knowledge or practice prior COVID, because I came during the middle of lockdown and just continue with how it was. So probably I can't really, I can't see the difference.
Because
or maybe I'm an overthinker.
No. Now that you've actually said it was actually just about saving the NHS.
Yeah.
It wasn't about saving lives in general and thinking about the nurses or whoever within the community or the private sector of it. It was nothing. It was
So
now you think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So let our listeners tell us what they think about that, especially those who are working at that point where COVID was still rampant at that point. So.
Oh, and I said I did mention that I was working in a hospital and a care home at the same time. I had to give up one job because of that.
You can't really
because of we were told that it's increasing the risk of infection or whatever, but either way, it still spreads.
It still spread. I think one of the things I can share, I think when Ryan was sharing about how COVID made him fail, I can just relate to that because I remember that was in 2021, February. Oh, I'll never be. I think it was on a Sunday because that's February. My birthday is on 8th, so on 7th, I didn't go to church. I was feeling type of way, like, you know what? This is not the normal flu that I usually have, you know? And then on that, now Monday, I was ill. You don't know whether you're going or coming. I think I lost 3 days. Tell me where the 3 days gone.
You don't know where
I was waking up.
Yeah.
Thank God for the person I was living with because she was really helpful. Like, I really thank God for her because I was sick. Like, even for her, she was telling me, as in, I was even afraid of how you are because it was really bad. Even she tried like cheering me up, but you're sick. She baked me a cake and all that. God bless her. But it was crazy. And then, like the way Ryan was just saying, you just need your mother. I remember my mom called me. I remember I cried. Yeah. I cried. I was like, I think I'm just going home in a casket or something because it was, and then because you're far away, you try to be strong and be like, I'll be okay. But I just saw my mom and I was tearing. I was pouring. Yeah. I was like, I wish you were, But so it was just something else.
Once everything got a bit better, having to sign your name every time you go in, like I don't know if you guys went to the pub, but I went to the pub a couple of times. And you have to put in your name
and your address or something like that. To trace you. And it feels like those 2 years are missing in my life. Well, personally, it's like 2020, 2021. If it wasn't like a very significant thing happening at that point, I don't remember. As in, that time just flew really quick. It's like, somebody's stolen 2 years from me and I want them back. I want them. Don't know who though.
Yeah, if I can ask, like, were there moments that you felt helpless, that you felt like, like you just felt helpless, or some moments you felt like, I know what I'm doing, like, let's do this, or sometimes you just felt like,
what's that? Is that being ill or after?
Even if it's at work or because I think sometimes I just felt like, what's the point?
Yeah,
people are still getting COVID.
Yeah,
what, as in, even if we get the masks, even if we sanitize and all that, people are dying. As in,
you're just saying this is the extinction of the human race. We're done. We're finished.
Because even the more they brought the statistics and all, and you saw everything that was happening, you're like, you're just waiting, like, when is my turn next? Like, even when you hear, a phone call, I'm not feeling well, I've just tested positive COVID, so I won't be coming to work. And then now, us being nurses, we had to cover shifts and start calling. And then sometimes we had to work, like, I think there's a point, we need about 7 carers or 8 carers to work. There's a time we worked with 3.
And I get there was a lot of, you couldn't even get agency because it just felt safer to use your own people,
because how I think one of the things I can say, at least it made us be strong and think that we can really, like, we stretch and push ourselves, like, at that point of, I'm there for my residents, I'm there for these people, because even sometimes, as much as you felt helpless, as much as you felt
you had to push through. These people can't see their family, so you had to be their family at that point.
That's it. Having to be their family, having to hold their hands during that last moment. And you're not supposed to have favorites, but
if you can't help it,
you can't help it. So I had one of the residents who I was really close with, and to see her in that position and her family not being able to come in at that time, it was really heartbreaking for me. Oh, jeez.
And are there moments that you felt like, you know what, I'm like, I don't say heroic, but something like that, like, in that time, like, I think from what Ryan has said, like, being there for the residents when the family
that was really there. It was very fulfilling at that time.
And then
it was first of all, going back to work after I had COVID, at that point, I'm thinking, you know what, I have immunity. I was walking in like a star. I told you, I was just strutting through. I was like, I don't care. This person's got symptoms. That's fine. I'll go help them. It's okay.
The heroic one.
Yeah, I was like, I'm good. I've lost my smell.
Yeah.
I've had it before. What do I got to lose? Let me go. So yeah. That felt really good just to be available for someone.
And that's why the nursing profession is about that compassion, that empathy.
Oh yeah,
covering for your friends, like because you're dealing with vulnerable people, and us working with the elderly, it was just we needed to be there for them.
Yeah,
I remember we were using like the tablets, like for them to have video calls, just to be able to do that.
Oh, God,
and then it was even worse when the resident is ill. And now you don't want the family to see them how they are, because then it took, especially during the first days before they get a bit better, and then you the more you're like, oh, she even looks much better today. You could have seen her yesterday, and you just know that's not true. They even look worse than they were looking. But because they can't come and see them, so you just want to,
you're looking after both the patient and their family.
Yeah. Wow.
The Rona.
Rona did us a good one.
But then when they started to roll out the vaccines, I was like, I don't want that.
Oh yeah. It's only just been created. There's no research.
You got a vaccine already?
Yeah. Why have you not created vaccines for other illnesses that have been
for how many other diseases? And you got one for COVID already?
And then those misinformation. I think the internet. Like, there are so many things. Oh, this and this is happening. This vaccine will do this and this. This vaccine are chips. They will be, they'll be monitoring you wherever you go. So you're at that point.
There was even the chip business.
So you're there like, okay, do I? And then they're like, everyone should have the vaccine, And I know there are some people who said, no, I'm not having that. But then you're in that place like, I don't want not to get the vaccine, and then when I get it or something happens, it hits me more than the others. But then there are people who are like, I am not having that vaccine.
I know people. My job.
Yeah, I know people. And then there's another point, because there are some people who are like, as a healthcare profession,
you have to.
Dealing with vulnerable people, you need to have it. Yeah. So there's that aspect of fear, that aspect of, I don't really know what to do.
For the greater good.
Yeah, for the greater
yeah, you want to be the responsible one.
Yeah, when more people are vaccinated, that's herd immunity. Yeah, it goes for herd immunity. So, so it was just a lot. And then just the way we had said earlier, being something new, so everyone was just trying to, to be right, or to, to help, really. Like, let's do this, which we never understood some things.
Nobody knew exactly. There was no right or wrong, was there?
No. Okay. Wow. I don't even know where to go. If I may ask, what kept you going? A moment that kept you going? I think probably we have touched about it, just helping the residents and being there for them, and being that connection between you and the family at that vulnerable point or moments in their lives.
Well, what kept me going
during that same
COVID period?
It's the big man upstairs.
Yeah, to be honest,
that's all. Because when there was a lockdown, initially it felt like it's going to last a few days, or it's going to last a few weeks, and it makes this thing just dragging on and on and on, and you kind of start to see no hope. You just become really hopeless, and it's like airports are shut. I'll probably never go home. I'll never see my family again, or this, that, or and I think that very year I did want to travel home and I couldn't. So it got to a point of, by the time travel restrictions were removed, I think at that point I hadn't seen my family in 5 years.
Oh wow!
I think, yeah.
But then I went home in 2021 as well, and got married.
Something good.
Yeah, and that kept that. Yeah, that kept you going. Like a girl to go marry.
I know, right? Yeah.
So I had the vaccine, because then there was
you couldn't travel.
You can't travel.
Yeah,
you can't travel. You might lose your job, because you need to have the vaccine.
Oh yeah,
with vulnerable adults.
I know. It was just a lot.
God really kept His hands over me, and my family as well in Barbados, because once it spread to Barbados, it wasn't too bad. But
I think, what the two of you have said, God kept us going. I think the community, I think my church family were really helpful. Even that time, I remember when I had COVID, which I was really sick, they brought me food. To be honest, like, I'll never forget that gesture. And just connecting with family and friends, and just even hearing from other people what's happening in your home. Because I remember I said I came with 4 other nurses, so just what's happening in your home, what's happening in your home. At least we kept each other motivated, encouraged each other, and we were just supportive on each other. So I think COVID, for me, one of the lessons that I can say, it just showed us the importance of community and
reminded
being there.
you to just check on someone, check in.
That was one of the things I can really say. And even we got to appreciate the communities. Because when we were isolated, that's when you were like, I need people around me, I can't do it. So.
And I wasn't even living on my own at the time, but I couldn't see. I was living with my partner, and we were not even seeing each other. I would lock myself in one room. He was locked away in another room. And food is left by the door.
He was a
And when things got really bad, I didn't even want to see him. Like, I just felt really horrible. I sent a message to my friend, Chidi. Hi, Chidi. I said, babes, I think today is the day. I'm gone. I'm dying tonight. She came over. She was not scared or whatever. She came over, and we even sat in her car. Windows closed, windows shut. I was like, you're going to get ill. She's like, it's fine. If you're not feeling well, what can we do?
Yeah, and then just that human connection.
Yeah, just her thing. I felt like, so I do matter. Maybe I won't die. Maybe I won't.
Well, when I had the COVID and everyone else in the house had it as well, I think we created a strong bond amongst ourselves as well. You know? All of us frustrated that we can't go out. We did chat, drink, ginger
and lemon
tea. I had some soup. I drank a bit of wine.
It's going.
But I'm thankful for those girls. They're my sisters. Sisters from Romania. So I've got Romanian sisters now. But we kept each other going for real. During that period.
I think when you go through something with other people, it just brings your bond together. Because even me, for my housemate my landlady who I live with, she was really helpful. She is a mother to me, so she was really helpful in my church community. They were bringing me food, checking up on me, what's happening there and all that. Because I was really feeling sorry for myself. There's something that when you start feeling sorry about for yourself,
the level of self-pity was...
So I think they really motivated, and they really you know what? You can do this. It is okay.
You even start to quit. Maybe I should have just stayed home. I shouldn't have traveled. All this abroad. Look at this abroad now.
Even I was like, I never really wanted to come abroad in the first place. So I could have just stayed.
Saying in the Caribbean, got nothing. So nothing like this in the Caribbean.
In the end, when at the start, you hear all these numbers and just thinking, the health facilities back home aren't great. It's there, but it's not great. So if people here in these advanced countries are dying like this, it's going to be worse back home. But it wasn't. So, and then you've got people sending you messages like, oh, how is COVID there? Like, COVID lives in my house. So then at that point, it just felt like, no, I'm being mocked. Look at me. Shame on me for coming here.
Just for another aspect.
How's COVID there? I don't live with her.
And even people tell you of all the times that she had to leave, like even for me, because I came during COVID. Why did she decide to go during COVID?
Did you know?
You could have just stayed, and wait for it.
I'm going to the UK so I can catch COVID.
Thank you guys for sharing our stories. Thank you, listeners, for hearing us. You can share how for you it was, how COVID was during the pandemic time. Even I don't have my words coming through because it just taken me
it takes you back.
It takes me back, and we really appreciate that we're here. Even we're here to say these stories. Just share with us.
We are grateful. That's true.
If you have any stories, you can share with us in comments. If you have any questions as well, just send them through our DMs. Follow us on Instagram. Patches of Greenery. YouTube, Patches of Greenery. yeah, those are 2 platforms that we're on at the moment. Yeah, just share your story. We've been part of history, really.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
have been. We
we've
have
part
been.
of
Yeah.
history, and we have something to tell
Tell our grandchildren.
grandchildren.
Time.
You know when they say about the First World War, and
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
During the pandemic.
During the pandemic.
That is during the pandemic. We had no toilet roll.
Sanitizer. Oh my god. Something on the, you know what? We can laugh about it today because the shelves were empty.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going for the
I
toilet
feel
roll and
like
the tissues.
it's a very, if we discuss COVID or that time, I think we would talk for days and days and days.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just little snippets of what
Yeah.
we went through and our feelings. So yeah, you let us know how that's affected you, or we'll wrap up this episode. Ooh, and if you like what you see, obviously, please press that button, subscribe,
Share.
And comment.
Patches of greenery.
Bye guys.